Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by A. Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Hello, everybody. Welcome to After the Show. Welcome to my established special guest, Sid Talk.
When did I become I'm the special guest now, am I?
Yeah, you're my special guest.
I'm sure people can hear the marriage in my voice. Oh, I'm the special guest.
I'm your host. You're my special guest.
This was not part of the before the after the show discussion.
We were just talking about Star Trek.
We were talking about how in all of fiction, literature, and probably nonfiction, but just talking about stories we tell as humans, the villain/hero often has a dead parent, dead parents, dead family, dead wife, dead child that motivates them in the trajectory of either the good or the bad. And that was it. That was the discussion. We were naming off all kinds of different ones. And then I came to the conclusion, like, well, they just almost all are. There's not like a happy home life of like master villains or master heroes. Maybe that's the new way we need to go.
You mean like
you had a perfect childhood and nothing ever went wrong, and then you just decided to be an asshole for no reason. You just decided, I want more.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. It's Saturday, August the 26th. This is After the Show. We're a movie review podcast. And on episode 802, we're looking at the movie The Flash. It's a 2023 movie. You can get it now on 4K, Blu-ray, streaming. It's rated PG-13 from our friends at DC and Warner, who sent us a copy for review. Sid Talk, give us the synopsis of the movie, The Flash.
I don't think I can. I mean, it's The Flash.
Should I give you one?
It's an alternate universe type of situation. We get to know The Flash, who I don't know very well.
We saw him in Justice League, but just a very little bit.
And of him in Supergirl,
yeah. Also, he had a DC show that we didn't watch, the TV show on CW.
Correct.
All right, so I'll give you the one off the box. Barry Allen uses his super speed to change the past, but his attempt to save his family creates a world without superheroes, forcing him to race for his life in order to save the future. Good?
Let's not talk about how that doesn't make any sense. I mean, it applies to the movie, yes. But that theory...
You just have to go with it.
Yeah, you have to. You're supposed to. I get that. So the story is, because his mom died many years ago, so we meet him, is going to court. His dad's been in prison because they accused him of killing his mother.
Correct.
There's the dead parent. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, because your mother is passed when you were a child, so I'm not trying to be crap.
I didn't murder her, nor did my father.
By saying dead parent, but I'm saying that's the trope that we're talking about. They have a parent who is no longer with us, right?
Right.
So that's the thing. And then he somehow, through something at this point of his Flash career, in this split second, discovers he can go so fast that he can somehow jump into this weird space-time coliseum and pick moments in time to go back to the past. He decides to go back to the past, save his mother by doing a thing, and then she doesn't die, and then he wants to just flip back to the now. And even, what did you call him? Batfleck?
Batfleck, yeah. Batfleck.
Did you make that up, or is that an internet
No, that's
thing?
the thing.
Okay, so Batfleck / Bruce / Batman / Ben Affleck tells him you can't do anything. You can't go back in time. You can't flip it around. You can't mess with it. And who else has told us this? Jean-Luc Picard and Q from Star Trek, Doctor Who from Doctor Who, even Kirk from Star Trek has told us, don't mess with the timeline.
Even Star Wars Rebels, something we watched very recently.
Correct. You can't go back and change a thing without then splintering time or whatever the thing is, right? So he does it anyway. He then saves his mother and ends up in his own past, meeting his own self when he was 18 years old. And then we kind of go from there.
That is a good explanation of what happened.
Yeah, but the thing is, The thing is, then it doesn't make any sense that it then affected the past.
No.
The past. Like before the day when the can of tomatoes wasn't on the shelf and the mom got murdered by somebody because dad left to go get tomatoes. That's what happened. Everything in the past changed.
Yeah.
Like the history of all things changed.
Which you think would ruin everything.
And then Batman / old Batman / Michael Keaton tries to explain to us it's like pieces of spaghetti all clambered up together. And that once you make a different decision, it splits off. It just, you can pretend like you understand. It doesn't make any sense. So I have to just put my brain in another place.
I could tell this movie was trying to say, like, this is our explanation, but we don't even think it makes sense.
It feels like that, definitely.
Yeah.
We don't have a full, we don't have what's the guy name in the Marvel Universe? The guy who's the Watcher. We don't have him to kind of explain.
Yeah,
that I know of. We don't have that character who can like zoom out from everything and explain to us, or the timekeeper people also from Loki, right, to say to us. They even have a little cartoon, don't they, in Loki to explain the multiverse.
Yeah, they do.
This one doesn't have that, so you just have to be like, oh, okay, sure. Well, I'm not that person, so I have to really struggle.
But the thing is, when you say that, it's not complicated, this movie, is it?
No.
Even though it's full of that stuff, it's kind of easy to figure out what's going on. Because it's pretty basic what's going on.
I mean, I don't know if it's easy to understand what's going on because it doesn't make sense. So you just have to be like, well, that doesn't make sense, so I'll just accept it. It's not that it's easy to understand. It's that it's so far from making sense that you have to just jump on the bubble and be like, okay, I'll deal with it.
Now, like the last few DC movies we've seen, they seem to be going for a more light-hearted, comedic version of DC. Have you noticed? They've started doing that. And have they started doing that because Marvel kind of do that? Is it a copycat?
I wasn't in that meeting at either corporation, so you'd have to go to one of those meetings and ask them. The DC
movies, if you think back to the original DC movie, Man of Steel, it was very gloomy and dour. It wasn't funny.
So is Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, but in the last, I would say, 3 to 5 movies, we've gone funny. Even Batfleck in this movie says some funny lines. He's kind of being goofy, isn't he, at the beginning? Bit when he's when he's doing the thing on the bridge and he's speaking to the Flash.
And the thing is, it's not enough to hold it up to being as quirky / funny and charming as something like Guardians of the Galaxy. Whether or not you agree with that, I don't care, but it's sort of like balanced in that direction, right? Yeah. It leans toward that with a very deep and dark threat of the entire universe and the people or the creatures we've come to care about, like the heavy weight of emotion with the equal weight of comedy and quirkiness. This doesn't quite tip that way either way. It doesn't go full darkness. It doesn't go full quirky comedy, charming, but it's like it's making an effort. I'll give him credit for that. I won't give him a gold star, but I'll give him a little credit.
You know the famous superhero trope of people hanging from a bridge or whatever, and then the superhero has to save them. Well, this movie starts with a building falling down, and who is he rescuing?
A gaggle of babies.
Yeah, from a baby hospital. So you've never seen babies falling out of a building, which sounds really grim, but they do it in a comedic way.
Yeah,
right?
And then they have to add a dumb dog. No offense to all the animal people, but seriously, when you're not an animal person and they're overtly sticking animals in now entertainment, it reminds me of Scrooged, a movie with Bill Murray from like the 80s. He works for a television station network, and the boss comes and the boss is like, hey, we've got statistics to show us that 20% more animals are watching TV. So what we need is one of our heroes. Maybe if Telly Savalas dangles a piece of string or whatever. And he's like, Bill Murray's like, this guy's crazy. But now we're embracing that the animals are the thing. And it's just very brief. It just really irritated me. But yeah, the baby's falling from the building, and that was the beginning of the really crappy CGI. So I have to put that out there now because it was very distracting. So distracting that I wished it had either been an animated movie or a video game, not the movie.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there.
In terms of good things, before we get to the bad CGI, because it's a movie that deals in this multiverse and, nostalgia, and it brings back Michael Keaton's Batman, and it doesn't just bring him back, it brings back the Batcave, the Batmobile, the Batplane, everything. If you liked Michael Keaton Batman, all that stuff's in here. And it makes you feel warm and fuzzy a little bit. Because I was a giant fan of that movie.
Right. I don't remember any of it except Michael Keaton, so it could have been a completely different Batcave for me, and I wouldn't know any different.
It was literally identical. They built it identically. Or they CG'd it. I don't know. Was it real?
CGI.
Was it a real cave?
I don't think so.
It's got a lot of warm and fuzzy, like, oh, I remember this. But you can't rely on that completely for a movie, I don't think.
Agree.
I have some warm and fuzzies over the movie Man of Steel. It's my favorite DC movie. Zack Snyder kicked off the DC universe with an amazing... I think it's a really good standalone Superman movie. You don't even need to see anything else, just that one. And you're good, right?
Bold. That's a bold statement.
I almost think it's the perfect Superman movie. It also brings that back into the fold. There's scenes from that movie in this movie. They're messing with them, aren't they? Adding other actors into the frame and stuff.
Well, because we're in a different string of the different timeline, space-time continuum, universe, multiverse situation.
I felt sure that Kevin Costner was going to turn up at some point.
But I don't think so.
But yeah, it's got the warm and fuzzy thing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was very funny. The main guy, Ezra Miller, is playing two versions of himself. And at times, I thought they were different people. Like, they feel like different people. He's playing how old is he when he's the young one? 18?
18, which was not convincing, but I had to just go with that one too.
The fact that he's 18, he has longer hair. That's it, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't look any different apart from the hair.
He's a little more goofy and bouncy.
Yeah. There was times when he's acting against himself the entire movie. They really felt like different people. I know they look the same, but the actual what was coming out of them was like, oh yeah, that's a more wiser, older version, and that's a goofy, like I've just learned my powers version. Because there's that in this movie too, isn't there?
Like an origins kind of story.
There's
not
kind
exactly.
of everything in this movie. It feels like there's everything, and they're shaking it all around in like a tin can to see what's going on, like, and which is going to work. It doesn't all work for me.
Correct.
I really like Supergirl, that they introduced a new Supergirl here. But what I didn't like, aside from the bad special effects, which we're definitely getting to, is the battle was very generic. The battle at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And almost, hate to say it, boring.
Yeah, it was kind of non-existent.
It's like, oh, we're going to run around, there's going to be sparks, people are going to be firing at each other, it's probably going to last like 20 minutes, and occasionally something interesting happens. But there was moments where I was like, I've seen this, like, how many DC movies have I seen? Maybe 20? I feel like I've seen this 19 times before. The end of this movie.
It was very small, very contained. Zog is not the enemy that we are, like, interested in, to me, anymore. It's just taking us back to that moment in that Superman movie when Zog was going to destroy the Earth, and now Flash and the old Batman, and what are we going to call him? If we call Batfleck, what's Michael Keaton? Keatman?
Yeah.
Mike Man? Mike? I don't know.
Bat Burton? Because he was the Tim Burton Batman, wasn't
he? Yes.
Burton Bat?
No.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't fully work for me, but I did find it very funny. A bit goofy sometimes. There's things that they kind of like start and never finish. Like,
I agree.
You know, the friends that he worked with? And then they turn up, and then they're never there ever again.
And the fact that he has to eat constantly, they needed to hold on to that all the time because he's burning so many calories. Now he's Flash pretty much constantly.
Yeah.
And his younger self becomes Flash constantly. And while they show him eating a couple of times, it would have been filled in more if it was just like a constant thing. And it got dropped when it was convenient and then brought back when it was funny.
And I did just kind of notice that stuff. I was like, oh, where did those people go? Oh, we don't need them anymore, so they're gone. Didn't work fully, but is wildly entertaining on the other side. All right, let's get back to this bad CGI.
Yeah.
Is all the CGI bad, Sid Talk?
Not all of it, because there are things like the battle itself with explosions, the physical thing of the stunts and whatnot looks great, looks very good, right? You also have a lot of when he is running at full speed and we see him in this sort of like glowy haze and the city going on around him. I like that because it's reasonable that would be slightly distorted and a little bit weird. And he's generating so much energy, right? So I can't explain that because it doesn't exist.
You don't know what it looks like because you've never seen it.
I've never seen it, but I'm okay with that. But then when we get to weird shit like zooming in on people in slow motion, just even that looked really bad and unconvincing. And again, if they just made this an animated movie, seriously, you would have the world at your fingertips, right? You could make it anything. We just watched Spider-Man.
And Rebels.
That are amazing animated versions of these kinds of stories where you're already in the animated world, you accept that it's animation, and now everything that happens is possible. All things are possible in animation or a video game, right?
Yeah.
This is then when we get to certain things, like he gets in his little weird Coliseum of Time.
That's the worst of everything.
It's really awful. It's so awful. It made me feel bad.
To Clark Kent, aka
that looked bad. Helen looked bad.
They do, yeah. They show you like Superman of past. It doesn't make any sense either, does it?
Well,
really?
Each of their universes. So you have the black and white Superman. His globe or Coliseum of Time is one thing, and then you've got Christopher Reeve and Helen, who is
Hunt.
the Supergirl, and not Helen Hunt. Not Helen. Oh, Helen Hunt. That's an inside. Okay, we'll have to tell that story now that you've brought it up. So we're in a movie theater once and we're sitting second to the back row. Like there's 3 chairs in the back row. We're like, nobody's going to sit behind us. But strangely enough, it was completely packed when we went to watch Castaway. So these 3 ladies, first of all, they didn't turn the lights off when the movie started. Do you remember that? They didn't shut the door, turn the movies off, and the theater was 100% packed. 3 ladies sat behind us. We're sitting there with all the lights on. The movie starts. No one seems to care that the lights are on. And all of a sudden, this one lady behind us goes, "Oh, Helen Hunt."
Yeah,
like that's the charming. That's
actually
important.
Really loud though.
Yeah, really loud.
Like she's in a living room.
Yeah. So now, whenever we hear the words Helen Hunt, we have to go, "Oh, Helen Hunt." I'm sure other marriages and couples and families have this situation. You have to say weird things.
They do this thing in this Coliseum that looks really terrible. I just kind of was looking at it like, really? Is that the best you can come up with? You know when they mapped Christopher Reeve's face on the Superman model that they've got there? Yeah. It looked like... I feel like somebody who makes YouTube videos could do it 50 times better in like half the time. Because it looked really amateurish. Like I'd found a program and it said, give me a picture of somebody's face and I'll put it on a body.
Yes, it was like animation, like CGI animation, not like animation. Right. So in that world. And then someone's like, hey, let's do a crappy face replacement on the animation that we made. It feels
like the bargain basement version of it.
Sadly,
and I was like, really? That's... First off, you're tributing somebody who died.
And it's Christopher fucking Reeve.
Yeah, who means a lot to this franchise. And it looks like shit.
I mean, he is Superman. Let's just all put that out.
I would also agree.
You have warm fuzzies for the other guy, but I have it for Christopher.
No, I have it for Christopher Reeve too. I grew up.
I mean, when he flew backwards so fast that he turned back the planet. Come on, I was into that.
Yes,
cool. That I could buy.
They even had the guy before him, like the old.
Yeah, they showed him too in the black and white world.
And for all you nerd boys out there
and girls. Not all nerds, just generic but nerd people.
Nerdos, let's call you.
Everyone's a nerdo.
They had the Nicolas Cage version of Superman quite prominently displayed in that shitty-looking CG sequence.
Including a blurb from Kevin Smith's script, which had a giant robotic spider.
Yeah, so if you see him fighting a spider there as it zooms across, that's what that's all about. So... It's full of all that fan servicey stuff. It just doesn't do it very well.
Aw, that's so sad. I feel bad for it. I want to pat it on its little back.
They could have done it so much. It's DC.
I know.
It's not like some amateur hour. It's the DC. Kind of mars the film quite a bit, doesn't it?
It did for me, but I was enjoying it so much. Like the story again was kind of weird that we're crisscrossing and we're just retelling the same thing. The vehicle for telling Flash's story is for us to do this gigantic flash over. We're going to call it a flash over. I'm inventing a new phrase.
Right.
We're not flashing back because now we've created a whole new multiverse split off. So we're flashing over to another existing timeline where we're taking a story that already existed and we're just putting his own personal drama and his origin slash, well, it wasn't his origin story fully, was it? But
no,
we're just there because the movie's called The Flash. So it has to be about him. But wouldn't it have been fantastic if it was like an all new thing, like an all new enemy?
Yeah.
Or he could have even gone back in time and just been like, oh shit, I'm in like 1855 and there's Doctor Who. And we have to save the world from something else, something completely different. That would have been fantastic.
I mean, Zod being the enemy was a bit lame, I thought.
Here's the spoiler for you. It's also, if you don't know about fiction, if you haven't taken many fiction writing or storytelling courses, one of the first things they tell you, which at this point is probably not 100% accurate, but is that there are only certain stories that we all tell. There's man versus man or person versus person, right? Man versus nature, man versus himself. And in this one, we have man versus himself because it turns out he's the one stopping himself from going back in time over and over and over to let his mom die. And that's it. Like, that's it. That's the heart of that. Again, you could have done a little tiny blurb of this whole bit inside of the movie and had the rest of the movie as some bigger new story, but they didn't, and I didn't write it, and I don't do that, so I still enjoyed it, though.
Let's get on to the cast. Ezra Miller returns as the Flash. He was in the Justice League movie. How do you like him?
It was good. I mean, he has his moments of over-neuroticism, but I'm sure people find that appealing. I find it really annoying, but hey.
He is playing against himself, and I did enjoy the back and forth. And I wasn't thinking like, oh, this is a camera trick all the time. I did quite a few times, but not constantly. Yeah. At least they did that good. We got Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, 71 years old, apparently. What do you think of him as Batman?
He did fine. I mean, he did the thing, with the voice a little bit, which is annoying, but...
He was almost hamming it up, wasn't he? Like, this is funny.
Yes, totally. And that's fine if the whole movie had really jumped into that sphere, but we didn't, so...
Maribel Verdú as Nora Allen. She's Barry's mother. I really liked her. She
was good.
I was like, oh, what a nice mother. No wonder he wants to spin the world back and change time and shit.
Oh.
Because she was really nice. We've got Ron Livingston from Office Space as Henry Allen, his dad.
Right on.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, Office Space, one of my all-time favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I can't
for multiple reasons.
I can't look at Ron Livingston without thinking of him in his Hawaiian shirt, just walking through like into work.
And
like,
if you could just work this weekend, that'd be great. The other guy talking to him, or like, did you get that cover sheet for your TPC report or whatever? And he's like, yeah, I understand. No, yeah, let me just send you that memo again. He's like, nope, I understand. Nah, let me just. Oh my god, it is so.
And them beating the shit out of the printer in the car park.
Yeah, that had less of an impact on me than his interview with the two Larrys who are asking him questions about what he does at work. And he's like, this voodoo or whatever got done to him. He's just like, you know what? I don't really do anything.
Yeah.
I come to work late. I take an early lunch, kind of chill, whatever. And they love it. They love it. They love that he's so honest that they give him a promotion. I work in an office environment, so this is why. I love that. That's a mini review of Office Space.
We've got Michael Shannon as General Zod. I said to you, it doesn't feel like he's really in it. It feels like he's a CG head with a voice. Because he's in a helmet. Like, he's in the helmet that you will have seen in Man of Steel.
Yeah, it doesn't just feel like it. That's exactly what it looks like,
Yeah, it looks like they animated his face, got him into the voice booth to do the voice, but like I don't feel like it's his body or head at all.
Yeah.
Because there's never a sequence where he's just not in his armor. It's weird. And then Jeremy Irons turns up at the beginning as Alfred, very briefly.
Very briefly.
And I'm hoping this isn't the case, but Sasha Calle plays Kara/Supergirl here. It's a new version of Supergirl. I'm hoping that she gets used again, and she's not just, like, for this movie and that's it. Because I really liked her.
Well, you know how moody they are with these movies.
How could they use her again?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it, really? Like, if we go back to, like, the normal...
Well, multiverse. You can do anything you want.
Yes, we could have her... Yeah,
There's a bazillion, endless possibilities.
But she's a different version of Kara/Supergirl, and I really enjoyed her. And she, again, like this movie's trying to be funny and goofy, she's very dour and serious.
Does dour mean what you think it does?
Yeah, like down, emotionally down.
Dour, okay.
Yeah.
I thought dour was like boring. I could be wrong.
No, maybe.
She's not boring, but I don't know.
Directed by Andy Muschietti. He is the director of It and It Chapter 2. So he's on, he works for Warner Brothers, and now he's doing one of these big movies. I don't feel like it feels anything like those two movies, not even in the directing style.
No.
And I don't feel like this movie has any stamp of any director on it. It feels like a DC movie.
I agree.
That's not a bad thing, but it's also,
I mean, it's kind of boring.
Right.
When you think about...
It's like in the cookie cutter fashion, right?
Yeah.
Of DC. Marvel have that too. Sometimes they're a bit more imaginative. But, these feel like Act 1, get to know people. Act 2, peril. Act 3, giant boring battle.
I don't know. Is that what they've written down in their little timeline?
That's on the boardroom white.
Are those what are they called in our world now? I don't pay attention. I work in a government office type situation. They use all these shit like actionable something. I don't know. That's what they sit down and go, okay, this action point is a boring.
We need a really boring fight at the end. Anybody come up with anything?
How about something we've already done before? Yes, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, let's just take the one from the last movie and just insert different people.
Or, the one Superman movie that everybody claimed they hated? Let's do that.
Yeah. IMDb reviews. These are people who dislike this movie enough to give it 1 out of 10 on IMDb. So the first guy says, hot garbage.
Hot garbage, all right.
Batman was not very Batman-like, and he lacked luster. Wonder Woman was practically baited just to be in the poster for the film. Actually, yeah, she has about 8 seconds of time. No, maybe 10 seconds.
Maybe.
It's very similar to the movie we just watched, Shazam 2, where she shows up for a few seconds in that as well, doesn't she?
I mean, that's a good gig.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I guess. It's good for her, but not for us because we barely get to see her. Second guy here says, run away from this movie. We want to flash back the time before we started watching the movie so we get it back. It was painful to sit through 2.5 hours of this verbal dialogue with its past self. The alternate universe DC has been so disorganized, I literally feel exhausted when I watch the movie.
Listen to that voice that this person has.
That was that guy who...
Did they even finish typing? Were they so tired it just trailed off into nothing?
That was it. And number 3 says, I'm a big DC fan and I wanted this to be great. But it wasn't. If you want to see it, wait till it's on Redbox.
Redbox?
I don't know why Redbox. Maybe it's a shill for Redbox.
Oh my goodness.
The acting's terrible. The story is predictable. And I was wishing they would have gone with a Christopher Nolan character development instead of this garbage. I mean, it's far away from Christopher Nolan's Batman.
Yeah?
Yeah. We didn't have that version of Batman turn up.
We did not. There was no Christian Bale.
It was like they forgot about that one.
Maybe not forgot or couldn't afford it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they own it. It's Warner Brothers. All right, so extras, we didn't watch any because we watched the streaming version.
Maybe they don't own his likeness to be used in other things that he doesn't approve of.
Maybe.
See what I'm saying? It's very complex.
Yeah.
Entertainment law, very complicated. I know nothing about it, but I think it's very complicated.
So let's give this movie a score. The Flash. I'm going to give The Flash a 6 out of 10.
I'm going to go a little higher and say like a 7 just because I had such a good time. Uh-huh. It doesn't reflect on the quality of the visuals or the story. I know those are main components, fun. But it's very fun. And I liked him enough that, his neuroticism kind of balanced out because he's talking to himself. And I was interested to see all the references to other things. And I like Michael Keaton. So there you go.
And the new Supergirl was great. I liked her. I like the rescue sequence where
she was
rescues.
Pissed off.
Yeah, very pissed off. So, that's next week. We're going to look at the movie Ghosted. So we'll look at that next week. You don't know what that is? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what else.
movie recommendations, I am going to give you just two of my DC properties that I love. Man of Steel, the best DC movie, and Lego Batman from Warner Brothers. When Batfleck is being Batman at the beginning of this movie, I swear he is channeling Lego Batman.
Does he approve of this Batfleck situation?
I think...
is he like, yeah, I love it that people call me Batfleck?
I know that Kevin Smith calls him it. So.
Still, that doesn't make it okay for everyone else.
All right, so those are mine.
And mine are going back to the beginning of this millennia, to the year 2000. I'm up to 2018. So I'm just giving you movies I've seen, not movies with any specific quality whatsoever. I've just seen them. Some of them I've forgotten, but I know that I've seen them. From 2018, we're up to Extinction, which is one of those movies I did watch during a Halloween stint. So I picked science fiction, zombie, horror, weirdness through my Halloween season, which will be coming up shortly. Very excited. So Extinction, I think I liked it, if I'm not mistaken. You never watched it.
I did not.
It's going to be an alien movie, just so you know. And then Fast Color 2018, which you and I watched, right?
We reviewed that on After the Show.
Yeah.
It was about the girl. You could. I remember. I can see the cover of the Blu-ray. It's got a lot of color. And it was a girl with like frizzy hair. And
the mom and the grandma have this ability to do something. And I forget what it was, but it was...
It's kind of an indie superhero movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It was beautiful. It looked gorgeous. And it was just an interesting little one. Then I have High Life of 2018.
Excellent.
Which I think we've watched together.
Yeah, it's the... we reviewed that one also.
Yeah, that's a dude who's like alone in a spaceship raising a baby.
And it has a weird sex chair.
Yes. And a weird lady who likes the sex chair a lot.
Yes.
And also sort of independent, but it's like a spaceship story.
A24.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's all I got to say. How It Ends from 2018.
I don't know that one.
That one is also like a zombie disease kind of movie. And it's also independent and it is also quite good. It is one of those like, whoa, why doesn't everyone know about this one? How It Ends is that one. And then from 2018 also... Mortal Engines, which had so much potential.
Peter Jackson's People.
But...
It was supposed to be like the next big thing, but
it was like
flopped.
Too much and not enough attention to detail. I mean, again, I'm not the one making that movie, so...
It had some...
More power to him for getting it made,
basically, like cities that travel around on the back of big engines.
Yeah, which was very super cool.
Yeah. It was cool.
But again, it's just a tyrannical story of dominance and wealth and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, it gets a little old after a while.
It was around the Hunger Games period. And it was kind of in that vein, the young adult thing.
Oppression. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Which
okay.
it can be a very compelling story. The oppression of peoples or creatures in worlds and then how to bring them out of oppression. However... We're not writing a lot of innovative news stories about that.
All right, A Scully stuff. Was that everything you had?
That's it.
All right. A Scully stuff. I've been playing more Cyberpunk this week. I played quite a lot of Cyberpunk, to be fair. Do you like Cyberpunk?
I mean, it seems all right.
Very cool. City. The reason I went back to playing it is Netflix released an anime called Cyberpunk 2077, which takes place in the game world, but with some new characters. And I watched the anime, and I don't watch anime, but I really enjoyed it, and it made me want to dip back into the game. So I'm playing through the game at the moment on the PC. If you want to play this game, the PC is by far the best way to play it. I played it on the the PS4 back in the day when it came out. And it had so many technical issues, it kind of pulled me out, kind of like this movie, The Flash, kind of pulled me out of it, because Cyberpunk on the PS4... When you're wandering around the city, I swear to God that it feels like 3 people live there. Whereas on the PC, it feels like thousands of people live there because there's so many different people. But because they had to get it on the PS4 and it didn't have enough power, they had like three or four models of people, and you're like, oh, it's that guy again. Oh, it's that guy.
So it's a city of clones is what you're saying.
City of clones, but not many of them, like 3 at a time maybe. Where on the PC, you can walk into a marketplace and there's like 1,000 people there. It's like crazy, all different. So if you're going to play it on the PC. Sid Talk, what's for dinner?
I haven't fully decided, but I'm putting Subway.
Subway sounds good.
Because I won't be cooking. Because last night I cooked, and it was very yummy.
I really enjoyed that. It was good.
I made a pan full of homegrown green beans. You didn't eat them because you don't like them. And a pan of home tomatoes that were homegrown into some kind of weird sauce over some pasta. I kind of make shit up, and so...
Some weird sauce,
but it was yummy. And so tonight I think I might just go to Subway. Why can't Subway deliver like a normal place?
Because they eat fresh. It won't be fresh.
You can get it delivered, but it's always wrong.
It is wrong.
I'm going to whine a little bit there. It's always wrong now. What kind of world do we live in where no one cares if my sandwich is right except for me?
Give us your advice.
It's not really advice. It's a question. There's a lot to what I'm about to say, but I'm a person who, if you start talking to me about philosophy, religion, perception of the world and all that, I'm going to you and I are going to have very different points of view. I'm just putting that out there.
Me and you? Or you and...
you and I do as well, but in the world in general, I have observed enough to know that all the filters I've ever had throughout my life have come to give me my own conclusions, right? 55, almost 56 years of being alive in the world. And it's different than a lot of other people's conclusions and the way we motivate ourselves every day to get through each day and all that. So, but sometimes I'm just like, I listen to the news and I watch some news and then I look at people and I watch everything. I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with us? This is not advice. This is a question. What is wrong with us? The only thing we have to do on this planet, in this galaxy, in this universe, wherever it is, wherever you are, if you're listening to this on some planet in a distant galaxy, fantastic. But you're going to agree with me that the only fucking thing we have to do is stay alive. We have to eat, be protected from the elements, and then along with that, we can learn how to what? Make better food for everyone, make diseases go away that we can. We find cures. We make our housing better and our structures better. Everything that we need to then build our societies and cultures and all the different stuff. But what do? We fuck it all up. Because some people want more and more and more. And I don't mean want more like, well, I do want a little bit bigger house. And so I'm going to work at this particular job and make some more money so that I can have a different house. And someone else like me will say, well, I'm happy with my house. It's fine. I don't need to go make $300,000 a year to spend more money on a different house. That should be an option. I'm not opposed to that. But it's the idea that some people want power and money and stuff, right? And other people's stuff. It could be anything. 2 tribes across the river and one has access to like carrots that grow randomly and the other guy doesn't. The other guy's like, hey, fuck y'all. I'm going to kill you all and take your carrots. Instead of like, hey guys, how about if you share your carrots and I give you some of this thing that we make or that we do, right? It doesn't work like that, but that seems more reasonable than the way we are. We're either super fucking lazy or violent if we have to be. And I'm talking about the people who cause the problem to begin with, right? So the people who come up with religions, and just so you know, I don't have a religion, so be forewarned, you might be extra sensitive or offended by this, but every religion is made up. And so some people make up a religion where harming other people is the way you get to your afterlife, right? That's bullshit. Other people think, oh, my religion says I have to just, I don't know, what's the thing? Like protect what is mine with whatever it takes. I don't know. Different religions have different things. And in the end, those are ideas that are stopping you from solving the problems of feeding everyone, protecting everyone, and helping us move forward as the species that we are on this planet, just living here, or if we ever have the opportunity to explore and go other places. Every idea that you have that stops that is your fault. It is your fault for believing it. It is your fault for buying into it. It's your fault for coveting it and finding it precious and defendable. And so the question is, what the fuck is wrong with us?
Well said. Good
it wasn't
work.
Well said, because I'm sure someone will be like, oh, she said there are no religions or whatever I said, but that's fine, because you know what? That's how it goes.
All right, ascully.com. That's where you can go to get this podcast. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube, everywhere that podcasts are available. We've also got a lot of new listeners on YouTube, by the way, Sid Talk. So thanks to those listeners
Hello.
for listening to us.
Lucky you.
Lucky you. We've also got...
Here's the news. Here's the news flash. I can like movies and have opinions about movies and also have ideas about the whole of all of existence that you and I might not agree on.
Correct. We're on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on Threads, but then I stopped posting on it because it was boring. So maybe I'm not. Sometimes after the show, we'll appear on Threads. I can't guarantee it. Also, email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Sid Talk. She doesn't want any of your emails. And stay classy, DC. Let's see what you can come up with next, and hopefully you get some new software package that is better for CGI.
I'm going to say think for yourselves, because if you don't, someone's just doing it for you.